Good afternoon, Bob.
Good afternoon. It's very nice to be here again, and thank you all for listening.
A pleasure.
Gold's been down for about 3 weeks, and it's been a combination of things, and the interpretation thereof, and of course we had a violent attack from the Illuminati yesterday at Davos in Switzerland at the meeting of the World Economic Forum, which is an appendage of the Bilderberger Group, and one George Soros, convicted criminal, and he was convicted twice actually, once in Paris and then again in Hungary for stock manipulation. And of course this is the man who, as a young man, led his fellow Jews to the Nazis so that they could exterminate them. And this guy's a real piece of work. And so he's one of the front men for the Illuminati, and it's a darn shame he's lived so long, unfortunately. And he attacked gold, said it was in a bubble. Of course, it's nothing but the rabblings of a bunch of people who are desperate to do anything they can to control the gold price, as well as try to survive what's going to happen to them. And that is that the people of the world are going to discover what they've been doing. I mean, even madman Kramer 2 days ago, and incidentally I have the tape and the issue coming out tomorrow morning of the international forecaster of CNBC, and when he said that there is an Illuminati, but the people in there are not bad. Now, this guy has groveled about as far as he could get. I think they must be very disturbed that he made such utterance, given credibility to the fact that the Illuminati existed. And that should cost him his job and maybe his life, because that's the way they operate. But anyway, we have the ongoing attempt to break gold down. It's bottoming for the third time on a support level, and that's good, because when it turns to go back up again, they'll have a strong base from a technical viewpoint. And didn't do bad today, but not as good as one might think it would have done. Earlier on, about an hour and a half ago, the shares are off slightly, nothing serious. We'll see how they end up when we go to the medium break. They got the dollar up again, and it's around 79.5, and that is the work of Goldman Sachs. And what's very unique here is that back in February, the U.S. No, it wasn't the Treasury. It was the Federal Reserve made a deal, a swap arrangement with 5 of the 6 participants in the USDX index, which is the dollar index. And they traded $500 billion for the 5 foreign currencies. And they took the currencies and went into the market, and what they're doing now is a final flourish on selling those currencies into the market to suppress the value of those currencies so that the dollar will go higher. This is what they're doing. The rally shouldn't go beyond 80, but could. Gold long ago decoupled from the dollar, so I don't see it having any great effect, perhaps a slight effect, on gold. Now, what's happened in the meantime is that the Federal Reserve said that they're going to end the swap agreements. Now, normally you would think that they would give the foreign currencies back and receive dollars back. But that's not going to happen, I don't think. I think what they will do is just hold them on their books as a long side to a short side. And what that means is that they'll hold the 5 currencies on the books as assets, and the deficit will be the $500 billion that they swapped with. The problem with the whole thing is, number one, I'm told that the figure was not $500 billion, it was $2 trillion. Number two, it means the end of support for the dollar and the market with the swap funds. And while all this was going on, the foreign central banks, the 5 of them, they took the dollars they had and bought treasuries, which means that they're not going to be able to buy more treasuries if that program is going to be stopped. So even if they don't exchange currencies to median the exchange, then the very fact that the game that they've played is over is important, very important. And as an abridgment to this, what's been going on in the market has been the result of pressure on the market without help from the Treasury and the Fed through the Working Group in Financial Markets. And the reason why is, if the market's going down, people are coming out of the market with their funds looking for a home or an investment for those funds. And that was done deliberately so that they would buy treasuries or agencies. And so that's why the market has been allowed to go down to shake people out so that they'll say, gee, I want the most safety, I'll go to the treasuries. And so that's what that is all about. Another factor here, and the Illuminati is skating on very thin ice here, unless they want a deflationary collapse. And they may. Now what they're doing for the past year, but particularly the past 6 months, they have brought down the increase in money and credit, which in Europe is M4, in the Eurozone from 12.8% increase in money and credit down to a minus 0.02. In other words, there's no money or credit growth. And the British and the U.S. have brought theirs down to a plus 4% approximately. I haven't seen figures in the last 2 weeks that would change that. Now, when you reduce the amount of money and credit, it stifles the ability to hire, to loan, to do more research, to do more manufacturing, et cetera, et cetera. In other words, growth. Now, we still have $12.7 trillion sloshing around just in the American economy that was created by the Treasury and the Federal Reserve. At this point in time, were they to try to withdraw some of that liquidity from the general markets, and if they raised interest rates, the whole thing would go right down the chute, because they have no opposing money and credit, and for it to get into the system would take several months. So I don't expect any of the liquidity that's in the market now to be withdrawn. I don't expect higher interest rates, both of which for at least 6 months. The question is, are they going to lose control, or do they want to see the whole thing go down? I don't know which yet. But that's the game that's being played out there. Of course, all the falderall that you see in regard to what the president has to say is really inconsequential. I mean, if they didn't have him in there, they'd have some other meathead. And it's the same with Bernanke. It doesn't matter whether he's there or